Now back to politics. Marco Rubio did not have a good night last night, to say the least, but he's not letting that get him down. Instead, he's looking ahead to Florida.
Hey, I need everyone's vote right now, okay? Let's not get into that. I can't lose any votes. But I want you to know, you believed in me once. I am asking you to believe again. I need your help next Tuesday, so here we are. It always comes down to Florida, doesn't it?
Well, Marco Rubio's campaign is in a death spiral, and for ex-Jeb Bush backers and GOP elites, it's deja vu, according to Politico at least. The political site points rather, that there are signs everywhere that Rubio's campaign is literally dying out. For instance, Rubio tried to rally supporters in Sarasota on Tuesday afternoon, but the venue, an airplane hangar, was only half full, with the campaign generously estimating as many as 1,000 had come. 4 years earlier, that same venue had hosted 3,000 for Newt Gingrich, and Florida wasn't his home state. And 3 months earlier, Trump drew upwards of 10,000 in that same city, filling an arena as thousands more overflowed into the streets. Politico also has an article about the folks funneling millions of dollars to TV airwaves, trying to stop Trump. For the second day in a row, we are telling you about a secret meeting. The purpose of this one, according to 3 sources involved in the planning to assess whether the multi-million-dollar offensive against Trump is working. It's not. And in the words of one, what will the path forward be?
And will there be a path forward? Now, if you listen to some of the pundits, we are looking at the end of Marco Rubio's political career. Is it? And if so, what does it mean for the rest of the GOP field, especially Trump and Cruz? And for more on this, let's bring back Bree Payton, staff writer at The Federalist, and Jennifer Burke, co-founder and editor-in-chief of Political Stick. Thanks, guys, for sticking around.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's start with you, Jennifer. John and I kind of go back and forth on this. I think this is really bad for Rubio if he does not win Florida when it comes to politics in general. I mean, I would think his Senate seat is no longer open. He's burned his bridges with the Bush family. I would say this does not look good for him. Like, he needs this more than anybody. But John says, give it a little while.
He's only 44 years old. It's definitely not good for him in the short term. But Jennifer, in the long term, this isn't the end for Marco Rubio. What say you?
Well, rumor has it that Rubio wants to someday run for governor. Whether or not that's true, I've heard many people discuss it. And if he can't win Florida, his home state, in a presidential primary, that won't bode well for him. And his problem, in the clip that you guys were playing, he said to the voters in Florida, you believed in me once before, I want you to believe in me again. The problem is they believed in him when he told them he would never support anything having to do with amnesty. And then he went to Washington, D.C., and he co-sponsored the Gang of Eight, which they tried to say had nothing to do with amnesty, but really it did. And the people in Florida know and remember that. That was not that long ago. Mm-hmm. And we said from the get-go that would hurt him, and it is.
So, Jennifer, Marco Rubio is not the Tea Party candidate he once was to you.
Well, no, I mean, he's not. When you campaign and say, I will never support amnesty, and then you go and a couple of years later do the exact opposite of what you promised the voters, how can the voters know that they can trust you? You haven't even been that long to be corrupted. And we actually had an op-ed written by the woman who was believed to have done the first Tea Party rally in the state, in Washington and in the country, excoriating Marco Rubio, saying she didn't believe he was ever a Tea Party candidate. And she talks about the depth of his history towards illegal immigration and amnesty that goes far beyond the Gang of Eight. So right. Florida voters have a memory.
They're not buying it.
Bree, what do you think? Are Florida voters buying it?
I think that he should get out of the race before he becomes remembered as the spoiler candidate. I think Marco Rubio is very formidable, and I think he's very polished. And when you hear him speak, I think, you feel something that you don't feel with a lot of the other candidates. So I think he has a lot of potential, and I think he's a great candidate, just not this year. So I think he needs to get out before he spoils the race against Ted Cruz.
So do you think he should get out before Tuesday? Is that what you're suggesting?
Yeah, I think he should, because Florida, I don't think, is really the magic state that Ted Cruz needs in order to like lock up and keep it away from Donald Trump, right? So I think that Donald Trump is slated to win Florida. He's ahead by something like 20 points according to the Real Clear Politics average. So I think he's going to win, regardless of whether or not Rubio stays in or stays out, and he's going to get all those 99 delegates. But that's not the end of the world. Okay, so even if Donald Trump does win Florida and get all those 99 delegates, he still needs about 51% of all the remaining delegates in order to secure the nomination and get that magic number of 1,237 and, you know, secure the nomination before the convention.
Well, there's some reports today that Jeb Bush is going to meet with Rubio, Kasich, and Cruz before tomorrow night's debate. No plans to meet with Donald Trump quite yet. This is all being reported by the New York Times. Bree, what do you think Jeb Bush is going to say to those three candidates?
Man, I'd love to be on the fly in the wall in that meeting, right?
I bet.
But I think I think probably the fact that Donald Trump is not going to be attending that meeting, it sounds to me, from what I've heard and what you guys have told me, it sounds like it might be kind of like a strategy meeting for how to stop the Donald, or, you know, what the party should do kind of going forward in light of how weird this whole race has been. That
It seems like it might just backfire, though, Jennifer. Just like the Mitt Romney thing has seemed to back. We showed that poll earlier from Matt Towery.
Right.
And the things that Mitt Romney is doing, the things that he is doing are just actually helping Donald Trump. And this might be the same thing with this Jeb Bush meeting. What do you think?
Well, what Mitt Romney said was good, just the messenger was all wrong, because he doesn't have a whole lot of credibility, since he did not put up the fight against Obama in 2012 that he did against his conservative opponents. But Jeb Bush behind the scenes having a meeting, who knows, maybe he's going to talk to Kasich and Rubio and say, you don't have a chance, now's the time to get out. And perhaps he's going to coalesce behind Ted Cruz, because, like Bree said, Marco Rubio does not want to be known. This is what could really hurt his career, is if he becomes known as the spoiler candidate. There's no other reason for him to be in the race than he hopes to win his home state of Florida, and it's not going to do anything for him anyway.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to make that concession speech with maybe a third-place finish even, or a second-place finish. You can't spin that one in your home state.
Yeah.
Bree, thanks so much for being with us. Also, Jennifer, great speaking with you guys, and look forward to having you back real soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.